Hey guys, how you going? So I'm just with your Dundeel filly. So today I'm just looking to prepare to be ridden. So tomorrow she'll be ridden. She's been with me from Wednesday last week. So I've done Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, today's Wednesday. So I usually get on the back of my horses and give them their first ride between 5 and 7 days. So she's pretty on schedule for that. But what I'm going to do today, I reckon I'll ride her tomorrow. So what I'm going to do today is just briefly show you some of the groundwork I'm doing with her to sort of get control of her feet on the ground, make her more controllable on the ground, and also some of my desensitizing as well. What I mean by desensitizing is you have to balance out your impulsion drills with desensitizing. So your impulsion drills are your movement drills, getting your horse to move away from energy, and your desensitizing drills are getting your horse to learn to stand still from objects that move and make a sound and look foreign to them. So there's always that balance. You want your horse to understand to move when you ask it, but you also want your horse not to be fearful and stand there when things are happening around it. So you can imagine the environment she's going into. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things happening on and off floats, saddles, whatever it might be, tail down in the wash bay, all that sort of stuff. So we want her to be nice and calm and relaxed with everything moving around her and foreign objects that make a noise and move in a foreign way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out there and maybe talk through some of the groundwork I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I'll try and keep the video as brief as possible, and then we'll come back in and talk to the camera again. But just briefly, if you don't want to watch that side of the video, I'll sort of go over how I found her so far. So physically, she's a nice type of filly. She's going to be a filly that's going to take a little bit of time, fill out, grow, and mature, which is perfectly normal for a horse her age, her breeding, and where she's coming from. Mentally, I've found her to be quite a nice, kind filly. She hasn't had any vices. She's got no sort of real negative behaviour you've had to work on and sort of condition train that out of her. So, if you've got a horse that kicks, you need to sort of get control of those hindquarters, desensitise her back legs, etc. But she's been quite straightforward as far as her nature goes. I know the farm where they prepared her for the sale, Neoka, and she's done a good job. So things for me with her is just going through the system as normal. And as I said, today we're just going to be going through some of the groundwork we're going to be doing. And we're going to do some lunging drills so you can sort of see her move around. You can also get a bit of an insight in her mind of how she thinks, how promptly she starts to get her attention on me, and how well she responds to different cues I'm doing. And then as I'm sort of teaching different things, you can see how well she sort of learns and picks them up. So, very, very simple. What I'm going to start with is pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. It's going to get her to move out of my space just a little bit by creating some energy underneath her chin. So then what I'm going to do is just very simple lunging. So I'm looking for her to move her forequarters away from me, like that, and go around in a nice respectful circle. Whenever she slows down, I'll give her the cues to move off, pointing in the direction I want her to go. Then I reinforce with my voice, and then I can also create more energy with a stick by slapping the ground behind her if I want her to quicken up, if she's ignoring my hand signals, my voice, etc. So whilst lunging is a very common thing for everyone to do, for me, what I'm looking to do is, burn off energy, of course, and get their attention by, burning off some of that excess up and about sort of energy that they've got overnight or by chilling out in their yard. But I'm also mainly looking to get her attention and start breaking down her body parts. I want to break down the hindquarters, forequarters, head and neck, and get control of each one. So what I'm going to be doing in this drill is looking to work on hindquarters, then I'm looking to work on forequarters, and then we'll stop and desensitize. So when I say hindquarters, what I'm going to be doing is move her hindquarters away from me, showing my intent. My intent's going to start, my energy is going to start with my body language. So I'm going to shorten the rope, I'm going to look at that hip, and ask her to move around. Now, if she wants to take off this other direction, that wasn't necessarily what I asked her to do. I wanted her to turn and face me, so I'll do the same thing this side. Good girl. I want her to learn to face me, relax, and give me her attention. As soon as she does that, I release the energy and let her relax so she understands that that's what I'm looking for. So you can see she's got plenty of energy here, so we're just going to be doing some of this groundwork. Now, the video isn't going to show the whole session I'm going to do with her today because it's just going to be too long. My sessions usually run for about half an hour, 45 minutes, with rest in between, desensitizing in between, and sort of just depends on the horse and where they are in their training. But we'll just sort of do some hindquarter yielding drills. You see now how she's looking to stop and look at me, which is really nice in comparison to last time she looked to just to take off. So I'm going to point in the direction I want her to go. She's nice and promptly moved off. So you can see mentally she's got a nice yes sir sort of attitude to her. She's not lazy, she's not dull. She's a horse that learns well. Her attention is on you well from the get-go, which is always really nice. You see physically she gets through this heavy sand quite nicely as well, you know. While she's not an overly big horse, you can see her muscle tone and how she sort of is shaping up physically. You can see through work, she'll start to muscle up nicely, and when she goes out for a spell after breaking, after being in with Thomas and Monique for a little bit, she'll really suck up that feed, and I expect her to really put on a good amount of weight this sort of spell. Look at those hips, get her to face me. She's a little bit crooked here, so I'll just put a bit more pressure on that hip. Point the other direction I want her to go. So I've been working on hindquarter control at the moment, so then we're going to work on some forequarter control. So what I'm going to be doing, instead of looking at her hip and getting her hip to kick out, I'm going to be shortening out the rope, stepping in front of her shoulder and looking for her to pivot on her hind end and move her shoulder through and change direction. So shorten that rope, step. And you see she naturally starts to pick things up pretty well. Some horses can be quite lethargic when they do that. You know, they don't want to engage that hind end and push off and work off. She's been a horse that from the get-go, she's learnt quite quickly to do the drills well. I'll see if I can get her just to stand in front of her. Nice. You see she just pivots on that hind end, engages her hind end and kicks off, which is really good. We'll go back this way. Good girl. That was really nice. You see, you know, she changes direction and promptly moves off in the direction you ask her to go. And she's not looking to slow down too regularly. She's not looking to be, you know, too lazy in anything she does. But she's also, I'll just step a bit more. But she's also quite calculated in what she's doing. You know, her attention is on me. She's not being too overreactive. She's been prompt, but she's not being too overreactive, which is nice. Let's get her to face up to me. Good girl. When she faces me, I'll let her rest. Reward her. Good. So like I said, I'm going to try and keep these videos as brief as possible. So after we do some impulsion drills, I'll use the same tool I'm using to desensitize her. So whilst I was asking her to move off, now I'd like to move the stick and string all over her, touch her body, touch up underneath her in some touchy areas. You see where she's flinching there, around her front end, and just get her to learn that when she gets to stand still, get her breath back, it's also associated with being desensitized to the different tools I'm using as well. You know, last thing I want is for a horse to take off every time you pick up the lunge whip or squeeze them with your feet. So I want my horses to understand there's a difference between me asking you to move and you standing still and taking the most of the opportunity to chill out. So what I do on one side, I always do on the other. And you see, you know, when I'm moving this around every now and again, she'll sort of flinch. So that sort of shows me that I just need to do some more desensitizing sort of around above her ears, above her eye line. She's a little bit funny with things that she can't see up above her making a noise, which is quite common. So I just need to be doing more things that desensitize the air above her ears and above her eye line. That's all things I work on. You know, she's, like I said, she's week 1 in her breaking so far. So we're super, super early. So for her to be doing what she's doing, learning the speed she's learning, it's really, really good to see. So like I said, you know, I'm not going to keep this video too long. I'll try and get some more videos throughout her breaking prep showing her being ridden and her progression through the learning sort of program here. But today was just a brief sort of video where you can see her move around, get a bit of an insight on how she thinks, how quickly she learns, and might give you a little bit of a kind of like a base where you can sort of build off as we try and make some more videos throughout her breaking. And you can sort of see her progression and how she's learning and her progression in her mind with how relaxed she is and how she's coping with the process, which for me is the number one thing I'm focusing on. I'm working with their mind more so than their body, obviously. So we'll look to do that, and you can get a bit of an insight on how your filly thinks, and also you can watch physically how she's developing as well. So I'll keep you guys up to date, and yeah, take care.